Good morning, millennials.
Welcome back to The Toast. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone's having a blessed day. I know we are, because we are now the furthest away we will ever be this year from Yom Kippur 2023. We're done. You're done.
We're done. It was a rough day yesterday. I don't know where your fast ranks compared to all your other fasts, but for me, this was absolutely the hardest one yet. Probably because I woke up at 7:30 with rolled, and I didn't really get to nap. And the night before, I had a migraine, and then I went to sleep and I woke up feeling better. But then the events of the day, no water, no coffee, no food, gave me another migraine. I had a migraine for 24 hours, and it was miserable.
For me, shockingly, the most difficult part of yesterday was not the lack of food. It was the lack of phone.
The lack of the talk.
I don't think I've ever had a more difficult time spending the whole day off of my phone. I felt so disconnected. I was ill-prepared. I was just shook.
I've never had an easier time being off my phone. Usually, I'm weirded out by how much I miss it on Yom. I'm like, wow, okay, maybe I have a phone addiction. I barely even noticed yesterday, which was so unexpected, but good. I think that means that my addiction is dissipating. I'm sorry for you.
Not me.
But we all have our struggles.
I was not okay.
I'm sorry.
And if you could count the amount of times I thought about like picking up my phone and being like, oh, no, it must have been 42,000.
That's crazy. Does that make you want to make any changes?
No.
No.
Yeah, it makes me want to convert so I never have to do it again.
Well, okay. Well, at least now you're back with your phone reunited.
And it feels so good. I love you, bitch. I'm sorry I left you alone for 24 hours. I hope you were okay.
You don't know what you got till it's gone.
So true. I'm so glad that's behind us. To our Jewish toasters, you did it. We did it. And we don't have to do it again for another year. So now I can breathe. And actually, I felt like it was a really productive day in terms of atoning. I felt very toneful. Mm-hmm. And I feel really good about kicking off this new year with positive energy and happy vibes, and I'm so looking forward to now getting back to talking shit without feeling guilty. Like, totally. It was not working for me.
Tabula rasa. So what are you going to do in this new year, be mindful of, that you've been doing in the past that you needed to atone for?
Like nothing. No, I'm totally kidding. I think it wasn't like specific things, you know? It was just like a general being.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not like, I want to, commit less crimes, Like, I don't really have specific, like a list.
Do you feel like you want to talk less shit?
No, because I like it.
I like the beat. I actually don't even think we talk that much shit. Like, we don't just talk shit for shit's sake, but we...
No, I definitely think we talk a lot of shit.
Like, on the show? Or
no. I think on the show we're like super, like, good.
I agree. Okay, I was talking about on the show. In our personal lives?
In our personal lives, like on FaceTime, like we are animals.
That's true. Okay, but let me ask you a question. Is it talking shit if you're spitting facts?
And merely exchanging information? No, I don't think that's considered gossip.
I think gossip is like opinions. But if you're just like stating a fact, an unfortunate, hurtful fact.
Yeah, I think gossip is like spreading rumors, not exchanging information.
Not exchanging information and telling the truth and the truth only.
I always have a hard time deciphering, like, truly, and I mean this genuinely, like what is like gossip and what is just facts. Because like, okay, let's say someone we know is getting divorced. And like, it's like, they're not hiding it, like they're getting divorced, but like I tell my friend who doesn't know. I'm exchanging information, but I'm also gossiping.
I think just telling someone the information is fine. It's like how you say it and then what you follow it up with. Like, good, she deserves it. She's a cheating whore.
Right.
That's the gossip. That's
why would she be the cheating whore?
Because she's your friend.
Okay. Also, by the way, today's like a huge, significant day at the Toast. Do you know why?
No.
No clue.
Because of our guest interview today?
Well, yes, which we'll get to in a minute, but no. I do believe this is the first time in Toast herstory that I am wearing my hair up.
Aside from that day last week.
Did I wear my hair up last week?
Yeah, and it was so stunning when you wore the 1989 sweatshirt.
I'm not okay.
No, but I did notice when we logged on today that your hair is up. You're
It's
looking
dirty.
great. I've been trying to tell you for years that you should put your hair up, and I'm glad that you're on the hair up train.
I don't know if I'm necessarily on the train. Well, I'll have to watch today's episode.
Twice in 2 weeks.
I'll have to watch today's episode with a fine-tooth comb.
The only thing I'll say is that with the headphones, it changes. You know, now you kind of look like Princess Leia.
You're so fucking mean. You're so fucking mean.
Because it's the two balls.
I get it. Okay, now I'm self-conscious, so thank you so much for that.
I just said you look great. I just said you look great, but you only hear the negative.
You want to hear something funny? How you're wearing your hair down and you look like Princess Leia, bitch.
That's because I'm saying the headphones like make us look like Princess Leia.
Well, maybe we should ditch the headphones, okay?
I know. I was actually thinking about going back to pods. They're just so ugly.
I know.
These at least are like cool podcastings.
But thank you for reminding that today's episode is going to be so long and so special because not only do we have a fabulous show with the Beverly Hills finale recap, the Salt Lake City recap, fabulous Fast Five, two fabulous girls. We also have a fabulous interview. If you're listening as a podcast, you can just keep listening. It'll be at the end of the episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, we have another video on our channel right now. We did record the interview for video as well. We sat down with Jessica Knoll, who is definitely a role model of ours. She is the author of Luckiest Girl Alive, and she was an executive producer and screenwriter for the film that just debuted on Netflix, starring Mila Kunis. And it was really cool to talk to an author. Like, I felt so scholastic.
So scholastic to talk to an author about truly our favorite book, and that's now been turned into a movie. She's also telling us about her new book, which sounds so good. It was just a great conversation, and I'm loving being such a core part of the literary world.
Well, two things. One, she did tell us afterwards, and I kind of wish we got it on the recording, that during the filming, Mila Kunis's understudy came up to her and was like, I am trying to find the book, but it's sold out on Amazon because they talked about your book on the toast.
And they keep talking about it.
And we literally sold out a book. Not mine. Happy for her, but whatever. That was really cool. And the second thing, I have such breaking news. Like breaking news.
Do I know it yet?
No. You're going to be shocked.
Share with the class.
Do you know what Ben did yesterday on Yom Kippur?
No. He read. What did he read?
He read Phil Knight, the founder of Nike's memoir, which is like, I helped him find, he was looking for like a good, like inspiring story. And it was all over these like lists. It was on every single list. He's like 25% through. He loved it. And I was like, do you support women in literacy now? And he said, no, he supports men in literacy.
Okay, at least he's consistent in the fact that he doesn't want to see literate women, period.
No, at least he's consistent in the fact that he doesn't support women, period. Not even literate women, just women, period.
Period. I'm glad that he found a book that he likes. That's really a gorgeous update. If we could convince Ben to become a reader, like, and push the boundaries further than I ever thought possible, that would be
We can do anything.
Wild. We could do anything. Speaking of reading, new episode of The Redheads dropped today, Lessons in Chemistry. This episode was such a delight to record because for the most part, the four of us are on the same page. There's in every single episode, no matter how good the book is, there's always someone who it wasn't for them. But all the girlies love this book, and for different reasons too. I feel like there were parts of each character that really resonated with everyone. Obviously for Snitch, it was 630, the dog, who's just like the best dog in the world. It was such a good book. It was such a good episode. So please check it out. The Redheads Book Club.
Oh my God.
And then at the end of the episode, we all recap the other books that we read this month. I read 5, Dana read 5, I think Snitch read 3, and Becky read 1. So there's 14 book recommendations in the episode if you're looking for other things to read. Also, I'm kind of taking over the podcast charts, like not to make it a really big deal. And I'm just like guesting on all these podcasts.
Yes.
Yesterday, my episode of Straight Up with Stassi dropped, and it was so much fun to record. I recorded it like 2 weeks ago. Stassi and I have so much in common. Not only is she a toaster, so all toasters everywhere universally have so much in common, but like our interests are so aligned. It felt like we were just getting coffee, catching up, and sharing TV and book recommendations. It was so much fun to record. And I'm like an OG listener of Straight Up with Stassi. When I used to work in corporate America. It was the first and only podcast that I listened to at the time, and I adored it. So to be on it now, if I could tell that girl, she'd be like, go off, queen.
She would be like, that's my girl. That's my girl. Totally.
So check it out, Straight Up with Stassi. And then also I was on Sophia with an F last week, which the episode is really making a lot of waves. I'm seeing a lot of clips like on TikTok and stuff.
I saw it too today. It came up on my FYP this morning.
FYP? No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I follow Sophia, but still.
Okay, you don't have to minimize it. But what's so interesting about guesting on other people's podcasts are the things that they want to talk to you about. You know, like you see yourself one way, but it's interesting to hear how someone else, like what are the most interesting parts about you that they want to ask you about, or things that you've done. Or
it's also just like relaxing to not have to think.
That too, but it's like when I was preparing for these interviews, it's like I wonder what they want to talk to me about. Like what do they want to get my take on? And
they probably want to talk to you about being Rold's mom. Like for me, that's the most interesting part about you right now.
We actually spoke about that on both podcasts. Towards the end of Stassi's podcast, we had a very just honest conversation about postpartum things, weight loss, etc. I think it's so important to just like have those conversations on podcasts wherever, because the thought of having all those feelings of like not being happy with where you are and also feeling like you can't talk about it is so shitty. And I've actually seen over the last few months some people being like, so disappointing to see you talking about postpartum weight loss. And it's like, I couldn't disagree more. I think people not having, I think everybody's going through it privately. So like, why can't we talk about it and just make ourselves feel a little better knowing that other people are feeling the exact same way? And it doesn't mean you need to go and lose all the baby weight, but you're allowed to like not love what the way you like.
Yeah, no. And also just the concept of somebody like telling you what to talk about on your podcast, like go away.
I just couldn't disagree more. And I know that if I wasn't a podcaster and I was going through this, you would appreciate someone talking about it. Oh my God,
I
would appreciate it so much. Just the honesty. Even if we're not gonna like solve anything today, like can we just complain?
That's kind of the ethos of the Morning Toast. We're not gonna solve anything, but we are gonna complain.
And we're just gonna talk about it. And now we've said it.
Thank you, Jackie. I couldn't agree more.
So go check out your girl on all these podcasts, having such great combos with such great women. Yeah. And I'm actually a woman who supports other podcasting women. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Yeah, I think you are too. I support other podcasting women. Yeah.
We've got a great show. We've got stories. We've got Beverly Hills season finale was on last night. It was infuriating. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City episode 2 was on, and it was also infuriatingly boring. So we're going to talk about that in the TV recap. It's Thursday. It is also our last episode of the week because tomorrow I'm headed to Pittsburgh for my show. Tickets available at girlwithnojob.com/tour. Good luck finding tickets. And Jackie is headed to Atlanta. She's going to be a little peachy girly. Her and Ben are doing a meet and greet for Spritz Society in Atlanta at Total Wine. So check the Spritz Instagram for all the details because Jackie's going to be in Atlanta for a day and you don't want to miss it.
You don't want to miss it. And I would feel bad that there's no episode tomorrow, but today's episode is literally going to be 2 hours. Plus, as stated, there's an episode of The Redheads. There's Straight Up with Stassi with Jackie O, and there's Sophia with an F with Jackie with an O. So don't
Jackie with an O.
Yes. Also, I wanted to talk about the content that I consumed yesterday, and I would love to hear what got you through the day. I had planned on reading, but then I had such a bad migraine that I could not. I watched a few interesting things. Caught up on Tell Me Lies. Are you caught up?
I am.
New episode?
I am.
Really good episode, but really infuriating.
Wriggle, what's his name?
Wrigley.
I need to kill him. He's so motherfucking annoying.
He's so annoying, but he's such like a lovable, sweet
guy.
He's not.
No, he wasn't like maybe in the beginning, but he's annoying as fuck now. And disrespecting someone's home, that's not going to work for me.
Yeah, no, I know. But, you know, like at the end when he just, like Evan and Wrigley should actually be friends. They both have hearts. It's Steven who's like ruining the group. I can't even tell you how much I hate this man.
I can't even tell you how much I hate this man. He's so creepy. Like, he's perfectly cast because he's fucking evil, and I'm really feeling it in my core. But the silver lining of the episode was Bree and Evan, like, finally getting together, and Bree finally having sex with someone who, like, gives a shred of a shit about her, and it was glorious. I was so happy for her.
I was so happy for her, too. I also watched the new docuseries on Netflix called Eat the Rich. It's about the GameStop situation that happened. It's 3 parts. pretty fast moving. I liked it because I felt like at the time, and I feel like we said this all the time when we were reporting on it, like I didn't fully understand everything that was happening and how it happened. And now I've got it. And it was really, really interesting. So I would recommend it.
Last night I saw it when I was perusing for something to watch on Netflix, and instead of that, I chose The Bling Ring. And I only watched 2 episodes, and I don't know if it's a story that like we need to keep retelling, especially because it's pretty much a guide for how to rob a celebrity's house. Like that guy Nick, who really like started the whole ring with that girl Rachel, he literally told you how to do it, like how to find the addresses, go on Google Maps, search the terrain, go up the back. They have all these fire escape hikes in these gated communities, so it was like a little too instructorial, you know, like here's exactly how to do it. And everyone's stories are conflicting with one another. You know, Nick is saying Alexis, you know, wanted to be there so bad. She was totally sober. She was ready to go. She's saying she was so fucked up on drugs. She had no idea where she was. She doesn't remember a thing. So it's like we didn't get like a conclusive, I mean, I didn't finish it, but I don't think we get a conclusive storyline because they're both like lying on each other. But the way that the mom from Pretty Wild is the star of the documentary, because like she's a full-blown liar, and like every time she said something they cut to Alexis and Alexis's sister Gabby like contradicting the mom entirely.
Oh wow, it makes me feel weird that this story is so glamorized.
Yes.
And there was the movie and everything, because even as I was watching last night Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, that's like in a few years if we're getting like a movie and a docu-series and all this stuff about the people who robbed Dorit's house.
No, 100%. Like, and I was actually glad they had Audrina Patridge on there, because the whole time it was like glamorous, bags, shoes, cash, Rolex. And then Audrina was like, I was so fucking afraid for my life. I locked myself in my closet. I called the police. I never was able to go back into that house again. It still freaks me out. They had her interview be done in the house that she was robbed in, like they were renting it. And she was so freaked out. Like, and that's what the head of the LAPD was like, burglary is like not a victimless crime. Even if the people are rich, it's like, first of all, Rachel Bilson, they stole her mom's engagement ring that she had on her. Like, first of all, you lose such sentimental things. It's not just about the money. You're like invading someone's private space. Like, robbing the rich is not a victimless crime. Just because you're rich doesn't mean you don't have feelings.
No, and just like to disturb someone's peace like that and cause trauma that they probably will struggle with for the rest of their lives. Like, I don't find that really interesting and something that I want to be watching.
I agree. They were like making light of it. Maybe it gets more serious. I didn't really feel like I needed to watch the whole thing, but I was, and then they had Perez Hilton on it, and that's when I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah, these documentaries always have the fucking worst people.
Yeah, have you no scruples? Come on.
No, even the one I just watched, it was...
Who was in
bad.
it?
I'll tell you later.
Okay. Why?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
And then I started Blonde.
Ooh.
And I wanted to get into it because she's really good in it. She's amazing. She looks like her. She sounds like her. And she's giving it her all. I didn't like the way the movie was set up. I didn't know like what year it was ever. We're flashing back. We're going forward. It was so weird. And that's
it's like a psychological thriller, right?
Yeah. I didn't like how the director, that whoever that is not my kind of director. I wanted to know more about Marilyn. I feel like I don't know anything about her, but she's like this huge iconic figure in everybody's life and forever in history.
I saw a clip on TikTok from the movie of like the baby in her womb, like talking to her, begging her not to get an abortion.
That didn't happen. Well, I mean, I got to the part, I already watched the part where she gets an abortion, and I didn't go further, but they're showing the baby in the womb, but it didn't talk.
Oh, okay. Like in the scene that I saw, the baby was like, please don't do what you did last time.
Oh, okay. So then that's further along.
Yeah. And I was like, that is a unique POV. I was shocked because I thought it was like this glamorous Marilyn movie. And that's what I realized. It's not like other movies.
Yeah, but she's amazing. And I wanted to know more about Marilyn, but I'm not going to turn it back on.
Yeah, I feel that.
I wish it was just like a director who just goes a story from like A to Z. That works for me.
I love an A to Z moment. I think that directors are getting like really creative, going beyond the A to Z structure. Like they're going, B to F, Z to Y,
right? But
L to Q.
You know what I could do? I could do L to A to Z. You know?
Of course. See, that's putting a little spin on a traditional structure of A to Z.
B to F, L to Y, Z to A is not working for me.
No, this is literally that scene from Friends. Like 2-4, a 4-6-2, a 5-6-7, 7-7-7-7-7.
And I caught up on Southern Charm.
Great.
But it was the season finale. I don't really have anything to say. I'll catch you at the reunion.
Cool. Should we dive in?
Yes, I think without further ado, we should dive into the Fast 5 stories that you need to know before you realize how much you love the show The Toast.
Okay.
I'm going to try new stuff every day.
No, for sure. On Tuesday's episode, people did like mine. Like, less is more when it comes to the change.
I agree with that, and maybe that's where I'll land. I just would like to improv and try a few different things. I feel like this is a time of experimentation, and with your blessing, I would like to do that. Obviously, the one I just said is not it. Obviously.
I think we can rule that out for sure.
But I'd like to try some stuff.
Okay. Well, today's experimental episode is brought to you by ZocDoc, a free app that shows you doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them. We use ZocDoc. You should too. I'm always having mysterious ailments, you know, and I'm like, oh, I need to go see an allergist. Oh, this rash, I need to go see a dermatologist. And it can be really hard to just find like a trusted doctor who takes your insurance, especially if you just moved. It's really difficult to get good recommendations. But on ZocDoc, you can find every specialist under the sun, whether you're trying to straighten your teeth, fix an achy back, get a mole checked out or removed. ZocDoc has you covered. By the way, just side note, I got a message from a girl this week who was like, I have debated getting this mole on my face removed like 4 years, and like you inspired me to do it. And I was always nervous it was going to scar. Then I saw you and I did it, and it was the best decision I ever made. So I'm just like changing lives.
Changing lives.
Literally. ZocDoc's mobile app is as easy as ordering a ride to a restaurant, getting delivery to your house. You search, find, and book doctors with just a few taps. Find and review local doctors where you can read patient-verified reviews from real people who made real appointments. So now when you walk into your doctor's office, you are set to see someone in your network who gets you. Go to ZocDoc.com to find the right doctor that's right for you. Book an appointment in person or even remotely, and that'll work for your schedule. Every month, millions of people use ZocDoc. We are 2 of them. It is our go-to whenever we need to find and book a quality doctor. Also for me, when I travel is probably when I get the most mysterious ailments, and being on tour and just like a fabulous girl who's always, you know, traveling, it's hard to get healthcare when you're in a different state, and ZocDoc is super helpful for that.
Especially when you move. Like
right.
I've been on ZocDoc. I need a dentist.
Right.
Oh,
right.
These teeth are hurting.
Go to ZocDoc.com/toast and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then start your search for a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. ZocDoc is spelled ZocDoc.com/toast. ZocDoc.com/toast.
Thank you, Claudia.
You're welcome.
And you know who's one of the highest rated doctors on ZocDoc?
Dr. Fitchemin.
Dr. Fitchemin. The work that
and
he does.
And actually, you know who beat him out this year for the highest rated doctor on ZocDoc?
Who?
Dr. Nazardin.
Of course. I mean, that's always going to be
the benchmark.
Who Theo. And it's important to have people to look up to.
Role models, yeah.
Have goals. And if only Theo one day
I couldn't
do
agree
what
more.
He's done.
100%.
And be so funny along the way.
I fucking love Dr. Nazardin.
We should try and get him on the toast. Those are the interviews I'm interested in conducting.
100%.
Our first story hurts my heart to say because I feel like I've been living in a state of denial about this one. Tom Brady hires a divorce lawyer after Gisele retains her own. After wife Gisele Bundchen retained a divorce lawyer, Tom Brady enlisted one for himself, a source confirms to People. On Tuesday, People reported that Gisele hired a divorce attorney amid their marriage troubles, and Brady, her husband of 13 years, was, quote, trying to figure out what to do. Page Six was the first to report the news. The couple, who shared 2 children, along with Brady's son, John Edward, with his ex, Bridget Moynihan, have been dealing with, quote, a lot of tension in the marriage, in part because of Brady's decision to return to the NFL this season after a brief retirement. A source previously told People she was so happy when he announced his retirement, and obviously now is frustrated that he's back in the game.
Yeah, so I feel like this is, you know, very much like a confirmation. And that doesn't mean that 2 people can't reconcile amidst divorce proceedings. But I'm just going to move forward with the mentality that these 2 are no longer together. And while that is extremely sad, it's devastating. It's heartbreaking. It is fun to imagine two single people out of Tom Brady and Gisele.
I mean, the internet is ablaze being like Gisele and Pete Davidson, which...
Yeah, which I totally could see like a little fling. Also, Girl Boss Town had a great prediction that like Kim and Tom Brady like will go on a date. Like maybe not OTP, but like they might go on a date.
That's gorgeous. Okay,
I mean, stunning.
So that works for Tom. He's settled. There's no one else on the list that I feel like he has to be with, except that Kim, she's on the list.
Yeah.
And so for Gisele, it could be Jason Momoa.
Oh my God, it's Jason Momoa. Even though I don't know if he should be on the list. He was spotted out again with Asa Gonzalez.
But she's also still on the list. And I feel like once we take them off, that will be a big day. But we need more confirmation, not just like they were at the same place.
Okay.
Also, I feel like if we think it's not going to happen, then it will happen. So it's good if we keep pretending like it won't.
No, and like I'm so shipping Jason Momoa and Asa Gonzalez, but knowing that Gisele's now on the market, I'm kind of like hoping that the ship sinks.
Yeah.
I'm self-sabotaging my own ship.
Gisele and Josh Groban.
Nah.
Gisele and Keenan.
Oh, that's cute.
Well, let's think of Gisele's type, because she dated Leo and then she dated Tom Brady. So
she loves like an all-American sweetheart, like
she does.
Boy next door.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. Pitt de la Brad.
Pittsville, Brad.
Pitt, Brad. Brad Pitt.
Even though he's been spotted with Emrata, they're not giving us enough, and
I'm not here for it.
Oh, I am, but like he's still in the game to me. He's on the market still, so I'm gonna keep theorizing.
I'm not here for it.
You're not. Why?
I'm just not.
Okay. Not every ship is for every sailor.
Right. Beautifully said. Truly stunning. This is sad. I feel like this divorce is like going to be kind of lengthy and messy because they've been married for so many years and they have so many assets, like between him and her. And I know celebrities, even like, they always keep their shit clean, but like this was a real marriage, like a real family, a real institution.
I agree. I feel like they were so in love, and so when that love goes south, it really turns into like a visceral hate, and that's when things get messy. You know, I feel like...
I know. I'm nervous. I'm really nervous. This is giving like PTSD from, you know, children of divorce. I feel like this is going to be huge.
Yeah. I hope it's not
contentious.
I hope they can part amicably for the sake of everyone.
Right. And you think like when you have so much money, like, you know, all right, you take this house.
Right.
But it's not. Like, no matter how much money you have, like divorce, there's so much like hatred and anger and jealousy. Like, even if you have a lot of assets or not a lot of assets, like it's the same hatred.
But I feel like it becomes less about the assets and more about just sticking it to the other person.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Wishing them the best, truly.
Hopefully,
you know who's probably, you know, having a great day is Bridget Moynihan.
Yeah.
Because Tom bounced on her for Gisele and also like took the kid with them half the time. So I'm sure it's a great day to be Bridget Moynihan. And I don't think I would say that for every day, because for a while she was like the loser of this group. Like,
and she's always Tom Brady's ex.
Like she has,
and
she's on a hit show. She's on two iconic shows. She's obviously Erin on Blue Bloods. She's Natasha on Sex and the City. She's had an illustrious career. But like what? Oh, you want to hear something so crazy?
Always.
I don't know if I've ever told this story, and like maybe I won't get invited back now, but like I haven't been invited back since. So I was invited to like watch a taping of Blue Bloods when they were filming their family scene, which is like really the only scenes that all the cast is in. Because
is Thrice there today?
No.
I just heard a bark.
Maybe it was Bruno.
No, he's not here.
No, Theo's not here.
Are you lying to me? Did anyone else hear that?
No, I swear to God. Maybe it was a phantom bark.
I hear phantom cries now.
I hear phantom sirens. Okay, but so...
Sorry to disturb you.
I went to a family dinner scene, and I was like sitting in those director's chairs with the headphones on, like watching them do the takes. And in between takes, like the cast was just chatting, and the cast is filled with like normal fucking people. It's not, even though Tom Selleck is there, like they're all just normal. They talk. He was talking about his horse farm. He has an avocado farm in Malibu. And someone was talking about how they're seeing a guy who lives in Boston. And Bridget Moynihan was like, oh, I used to see a guy who lives in Boston. when he was on the Patriots. And it was like silent for a second and then everyone laughed. And so she was like being funny about it. So I actually ended up like having a lot of respect for her just from that interaction. But I do think it's a good day to be her.
Yeah, and as far as being invited back to the set, I don't feel like that's a recurring, like how many times do you want to go to the set?
Oh, I'd like to go every day to work there. And I'd like to be the star if we're just requesting things.
What would your role be if you were on the show?
That's so funny. I was talking to my good friend, wait, why can't I remember his name? I was talking to my good friend, Donnie Wahlberg, the last time I was on set there. He was like, you should come be an extra. And I'm like, please, like set it up. I can't do that. You can. And he was like, well, what would you like want to do? And I was like, that's a good question. I think I would be like a DA from, you know, like Staten Island or something, like from a different district. And I would come because we'd need to like work on this. There's a serial killer who like started in Staten Island. Now the feds are bringing in the New York City borough and we're all working together. And at first it's contentious because it's like, you know, this is my jurisdiction. No, this is your jurisdiction.
You've been working on this case for so long.
And it's deeply personal to me. But sometimes when you're in a case like that, and I'm a DA, so I know this, like when you're so in it, it almost blurs your vision because you become so attached to it. You have like horse blinders on.
Yeah.
So Donnie Wahlberg would help me see out of that. And ultimately we'd catch the killer together and become huge heroes on the cover of every newspaper. And that's just an idea. And if it does well, you know, maybe every couple of years, there's another Staten Island crossover, you know?
Yeah. No, and I see that you haven't given this a lot of thought.
No, none whatsoever. It does not keep me up at night.
She doesn't lay awake at night dreaming of the Staten Island killer.
No, never. Me? No.
Not sure how we got here, but I do think it's time to move on to the next story.
We got here from Bridget Moynihan because she is the bridge to Terabithia.
She is the Bridget.
That's the name of today's episode. Bridget
the bridge.
To Terabithia.
Okay, our next story. Fat Joe says he won't change his name even though he's no longer fat. Legendary rapper Fat Joe has lost a ton of weight over the past decade, but he says he's definitely not losing fat from his name. Quote, as a business, I spend so many millions and millions of dollars marketing
100%.
Fat Joe that it wouldn't be smart to change my name now. He told Page Six at the 5-year celebration of It's a 10 hair care. He said he won the name at the cost of some pretty serious teasing. He said, I grew up in the projects where there was no filter. When the teacher would say, write something on the chalkboard, I was always big, so the crack of my butt would show. So the girls would be like, Joey Crack, and that's how I kept my name. So,
but your name is Fat Joe, not Joey Crack.
Well, maybe it evolved over the years.
Wait, I'm going to cry. Like, literally, nobody talks about, like, the trauma of being fat when you're young. Like, kids are so mean, and I love Fat Joe, and I think it's important to mention.
But it's also, I love like turning your trauma into your success.
Disgrace queen.
Right, literally, like being inspired by something bad that happened to you and having the last laugh, and you know,
reputation.
What's the phrase? Why can't I, like, running to the bank?
Laughing all the way to the bank.
Laughing all the way to the bank.
I agree. I love taking like your hardest moment and like making it into your like greatest achievement. I love that. Reputation. The snakes. Like, she really did get the last laugh on that. So I don't think he should change it. Also, just from like a business and marketing standpoint, like Fat Joe is iconic. And I don't really feel, and I think if you've struggled with your weight, you're going to agree with this sentiment. Like, being fat is not a physical state. It is a state of mind. Once you've been fat, like, you are fat in your brain forever. Like, that shit sticks with you. You are who you are because at one point in your life, you either were or currently are fat. It changes who you are as a person. So I feel like, you know, you can be fat without being physically big. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Okay. So when I saw this, I was like, it never even occurred to me for him to change his name. And I don't think that he should.
No, I don't think that he should either. Though I do love a rebrand.
Love.
I don't think it's necessary in this case.
No, me neither. In this case, I rule no rebrand necessary.
No rebrand, especially you spend millions and millions of dollars on marketing. We hadn't spent millions on marketing.
No, totally. And like, you know, he really came alive in the age of CDs and like records. So there are these you know, I'm sure a lot of big Fat Joe fans have like tons of his CDs and then they become irrelevant.
physical touch points. Well, no, I mean, and I was actually thinking about this with our merch, because people are like, well, what about all the old merch? And like, now to me, it's a vintage, iconic, one of a kind, never to be seen again merch.
No, it's true. And we do have one more merch collection that will feature some mourning elements.
Yeah.
And it's the final one. So
and it makes me, I love our merch. It makes me love it even more.
Same.
You know, like, this was a moment in time, and you were either there for it or you weren't.
The girls that get it. And the girls that don't.
They do not. Are you ready for our next story?
Mm-hmm.
So Daily Mail has an exclusive that the survivors of the 1994 killing that's now the subject of Kim Kardashian's Spotify podcast are saying that no one contacted them and insist the man she's trying to free is guilty because they saw him do it. So a brother and sister who survived the 1994 triple murder that is now the subject of Kim Kardashian's true crime podcast on Spotify tell Daily Mail the star never bothered to contact them to check the facts of the case and insists the man she's trying to free is in fact guilty.
Yikes.
Kevin Keith was convicted of murdering his ex-girlfriend, Marichelle Chapman, her 4-year-old daughter, Marche, and Marichelle's aunt, Linda Chapman, at their home in Ohio in 1994. He has been in prison for 28 years but insists he's innocent. Kim believes him and has used his story as the launchpad for her Spotify podcast, The System, which just launched this week. We were just talking about it. Mm-hmm. But 2 people who survived the shooting and witnessed it say he's guilty. They are Quinita and Quentin Reeves, Marichelle's cousins who were 6 and 4 at the time. Now in their early 30s, the siblings tell DailyMail.com they were stunned when the podcast emerged on October 3rd without their contribution. They claim they were never invited on as guests and that they've never even heard from the crusading Kardashian. They said she did not contact us, not one time. If Kim wants to get involved, she should come and meet us face to face, Quentin said, who is now a father of 2. The siblings, who were both shot in the stomach by the murderer, remain adamant that Keith is the killer. They say they knew him because he was friends with their father and that they remember seeing him point the gun at their relatives. We saw it with our own eyes. You don't forget something like that. I don't care what Kim Kardashian says. Kevin did it, Quentin said.
I mean, I think wherever you fall on this case, whether you believe this man is innocent or guilty, I think we can all agree, like, if there's witnesses to the crime and Kim doesn't include them on the podcast, like, that's kind of like low-key, like, wrong. No?
Yeah, I mean, I think they would also be germane to the story.
Right. People who were actually there.
Sources close to the podcast claim that the siblings were contacted, but they maintain that they were not.
Oh. So this is a game of he said, she said.
Yeah. But if there are, I mean, I guess if they contacted them and they didn't respond, what can you do? But I just feel
but they don't have Kim doesn't have a responsibility to have them on, but she has a responsibility to reach out.
Yes, definitely. And then
for the sake of the podcast,
they can decide what they want to do.
Oh, this is touchy.
The sister said the first time she heard from the team was on Monday, October 3rd, the day the podcast went live, and that it was a heads up from the producer.
That doesn't count.
No, that doesn't count.
No.
This is a very weird situation. I do feel like Kim will have to address it.
Yeah.
And some of the reasons why Kim believes that this man is innocent is because I guess after the shooting, the siblings initially identified someone named Bruce as the person who did it, but they said that they were obviously in a haze post-shooting, and they oftentimes got those people, Keith and Bruce, confused. They were their dad's friends.
Oh, well, that does muddy the waters quite a bit. Also, being 4 and 6 is just like a difficult spot for witness, you know, like 4-year-olds and 6-year-olds are just like kids.
Yeah.
This is so like sticky. I don't even know what to say. Like, yikes. I'm wishing everyone the best.
But even if Kim believes he's innocent, like on this podcast, she should paint the whole picture, which is like,
sure.
There are people who witnessed it who do still maintain that it was him.
No, for the sake of the podcast, getting the full picture, I would be tuning into this podcast to learn everything there is to know about this case. And obviously the 2 witnesses is a huge part of that. So to leave it out ain't right.
Yeah.
That's totally fair.
So that came up this morning. Podcast drama. We'll see what happens with it.
Right.
But a little more legal news. Scammer Anna Delvey.
Oh, wait. No, okay.
Scammer Anna Delvey is granted bail if she can find a place to stay.
In America? I thought she was getting deported.
She could be released from the ICE detention center, but only if the convicted fraudster can find a place to stay, Page 6 has learned.
Anna, you can stay with me, but you just have to come on the toast like once a week.
On Wednesday, the U.S. immigration judge granted her $10,000 bond, but she needs to provide a residential address where she will be under 24-hour confinement for the duration of her immigration proceedings. I don't think that would work for you because you like to be alone.
Yeah, no, 24 hours? Get the fuck out of my house.
Fraudster trying to restart her members-only club and art dealings in your house.
You know, I think it's important that we talk about that the building in which...
You do need to talk about this.
The building in which... Anna
dream.
Delvey was obsessed with 281 Park. It has been fully built out into a museum, and I believe it's a members club. Someone just invited me there to go to dinner, and I was like, wait, why do I know this address? And I couldn't make the dinner. I was so upset, but I do plan on going. It's this very exclusive restaurant museum experience. It's called like the Veronica or something. And Anna wasn't wrong about that. Let's just say.
No, they kind of like took her idea, made it a reality.
It's literally an artist collective.
Literally.
No, she was not wrong.
No. And what are the odds that it's in the same building? I feel like they kind of stole her idea. They should have to pay her royalties.
Well, that's the thing about Anna is like she wasn't completely untalented. Like she was just a scheming fraudster con woman, but she had some good ideas.
The talented Mrs. Ripley.
Right.
Also, the judge ruled that she cannot post on her social media either directly or by a third party.
Well, maybe she'll stay with the girl. What was the girl's name?
Rachel?
No, from the hotel.
Why would that girl have her stay with her? Are they?
Because in the end, it really seemed like that girl was obsessed with Anna.
That's so crazy.
I know. Not Rachel. Even though Rachel, when I was watching the bling ring thing, the girl who started the robberies and who was like kind of like the brains behind it was this girl, Rachel, who wasn't a part of the documentary. And she reminded me so much of Rachel from Anna Delvey just because like she was the girl and her name was Rachel. It's just such like a standard name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you would think like the mastermind behind this big bling ring would be like a Svetlana, you know, not a Rachel. You know, I went to high school with Rachel.
What's that saying? A rose by any other name is still a rose. I don't know what
that's
they're trying to say
a phrase. I think what they're trying to say is it doesn't matter what your name is. Like you're either a wench or you're not.
You're either a rose or a thorn.
Or a wench.
Or a wench.
You're a rose spelled W-R. No, sorry, that's not a funny joke. Continue.
Let's move on to our fifth and final story that will lead into our TV recap.
Okay, but I just want to let you know, I texted you a story. If you are feeling passionate about this final one, Olivia texted it to us.
I'm not feeling passionate about this final one because we could talk about it in the TV recap. Oh, it's here. Okay,
yeah,
great.
I thought this was such an interesting story.
We didn't have the article.
Business Insider Premium.
It's behind a paywall, but we got the PDF. So
Olivia has an
here
account.
it is, and it's fascinating stuff.
It is.
Patreon's deal with top TikTokers fell far short of expectations, leaked documents show. Here's what it means for the company's creator strategy coming off its layoffs. Ooh, I didn't know they were doing layoffs. But
me neither.
Leaked documents suggest Patreon's $1 million deals with TikTokers Larry and Lil Huddy fell short. Pardon me, and Lil Huddy fell short of expectations. Company insiders also said Patreon was in talks with Mr. Beast, but a deal was never reached. Insight into the deals comes amid company-wide layoffs that impacted the creator partnerships team.
So this report came out, by the way, and everyone was quaking over the fact that Mr. Beast almost did a deal with Patreon. Like, sure, that's interesting. The other part about Lil Huddy and Lorray, for me, is like so much more interesting.
Yes, tell them what happened.
Well, can you read it from the article? Because I don't know the figures exactly, but I know that Patreon paid
them $1 million.
$1 million each?
Yeah, I believe so.
To join the platform. And for those who don't know,
$1 million deals, plural.
For those who don't know, Patreon is kind of like an OnlyFans. It's a platform where creators go and release content, but it's all behind a paywall. So you do like monthly subscriptions. We have one, patreon.com/thetoast. We finally got our new link, patreon.com/thetoast. Can't stress that enough.
So here are the details of their partnership. It's kind of Patreon's like OnlyFans, but the creators
it's a lot of podcasting.
But the creators that gravitate towards it are different. But it's a subscription for
based
creators.
Content, yeah.
Comedy creator Larray launched in December his Patreon page where he hosts a platform-exclusive talk show called The Hot Seat. In January, e-boy and musician Chase Lil Huddy Hudson onboarded. Both creators are massive draws on TikTok with 26.3 million and 32.2 million followers respectively. The total value for their Patreon deals was $1.325 million a piece, according to slides from a company presentation obtained by insiders. So Patreon paid these two really big TikTokers to come to the platform and do exclusive content over there and hopefully grow overall Patreon audience. According to the presentation, the company expected Larray would drive $100,000 in subscriptions in his first month on the platform, but he brought in just $2,217 in total membership volume, which refers to total payments from fans.
$2,000.
Lil Huddy brought in $2,670, far less than the $25,000 Patreon expected for his first month.
And I just find this so interesting. One, because just like the landscape of social media, it's so crazy how you can have 30 million followers and not get more than 1,000 people to watch your talk show. And it's also just this like really interesting conversation about like followers versus fans and followers versus like a community. And if you would have asked me how much money I thought Larray and Lil Huddy would bring on Patreon, like I could have told you this, by the way. Like not every creator, no matter how many followers you have, is built for this type of model. And it's not even about how many followers you have, it's about what type of followers you have. Like Patreon would have been better off spending $1 million on like 5 much smaller creators who have like super engaged audiences and more niche, like moms, like real communities, as opposed to just like people with tons of followers. And I feel like this was a huge waste of money, clearly. And obviously I don't think they spent the $2.6 million to get back the $2.6 million. They obviously wanted to make a dent in the 2.6, but it's marketing money. And every dollar you spend on marketing, you're not going to get back. But I don't think they thought it was going to be $2.6 million, $2,600 in returns.
Right, but at the end of the day, the marketing money that you spend eventually brings in more money. Otherwise, you're
well, that's the goal, yes.
So I don't think they expected it to be tomorrow, but to build up to getting those numbers back. And I do think it's crazy, and it really shows you like you could have a big audience, but are they an engaged audience or are they a passive audience?
No, and also like Patreon is really, it is podcast specific. Like it's very comedy focused. It's a lot of true crime.
I imagine
horror.
that this was them trying to
expand
get into a new category of almost like subscription model for YouTube, pretty much. You know?
Yeah. This was just such a miss. I was shocked by these numbers. I saw TikTok going around and this girl was like, they literally paid these kids over $1 million and they brought in $2,000. That's
always so fascinating. Like, remember a while ago that influencer who had like millions of followers, she like put out a t-shirt and no one bought it. And she was like, why didn't you buy my
She did a meet and greet at VidCon.
We might be talking about two different people.
Oh, this girl had tons of followers, enough to get invited to VidCon to host a meet and greet, and not one person showed up.
That's a different person. This was a person who like put out a t-shirt, like merch, and no one bought her t-shirt, and she was like so upset, like, why didn't you guys buy my merch? And she like, I think she sold like 20 shirts.
I mean, well, that attitude is beyond entitled. Like, why didn't you guys buy my shirt? Who the fuck are you?
Right, but like she has millions of followers, but they're not people who want to actually buy stuff from her.
No, like the intersection of followers versus like having transaction ability and like an audience who actually wants to listen to your podcast, buy your book, see you on tour, do all these things, they're not mutually exclusive. Like just because you have followers doesn't mean any of them give a shred of a shit about what you have to offer.
Yeah.
And that's why when like people just get in this game and like rack up followers for the sake of having followers, thinking it's going to create all these other opportunities for them, when it doesn't, it's like, yikes.
Yeah. Yikes. But I do think that brands clearly are a little bit behind on realizing that. They see followers and they're like,
no, but brands are also, I actually thought about this a lot recently because somebody was telling me about an influencer that they worked with who had like totally fraudulent followers. And I think it's really interesting. Like, don't you feel like that should be like a felony?
Ooh.
Because you're accepting, let's say all 3 million of my followers were fake. They're not. But let's say for argument's sake that they were. And I accepted a fee from McDonald's based on the belief that I had 3 million followers that they wanted to engage with. Like, Isn't that nefarious?
Yeah, that is. And
I've heard so far as people going to doctor their analytics, because when you do a campaign with a brand, you then have to send them analytics. Here's how many millions of people were reached, and they put together a deck. The agency puts it together for the brand. So I've heard of people even going so far as doctoring their own analytics, like on Photoshop, to substantiate the claim that they had real followers to begin with.
I don't know that that's a felony, but McDonald's should be able to sue you once they discover that. And I think that's kind of similar to companies who fudge their numbers and pretend to be more successful than they are. I don't think that the law yet has caught up with the internet, but that is really interesting, especially fudging analytics. But what's crazy is, like, if you like tell a lie in the mail, it's wire fraud.
Right. And like, who the fuck is using mail?
Or email, I think, too.
The government's gotta grow up.
But you could doctor your analytics like that.
No, that's such a good call. Not the wire fraud. Mail fraud.
Mail fraud. And email lie is wire fraud.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah. So those are the Fast Five stories. I feel as though you needed to know them before we get into our TV recap.
100%. You needed to know them. We've got Beverly Hills season finale recap coming at you, and it's brought to you by BetterHelp. I'm going to need someone to talk to after this most recent season of Beverly Hills. It can be tough to train your brain to stay in problem-solving mode when faced with a challenge in life. But when you learn how to find your own solutions, there's no better feeling. A therapist can help you become a better problem solver, making it easier to accomplish your goals no matter what. So whatever it is that inspired you to start therapy, whether it's you going through a difficult time, a friend of yours recommended BetterHelp, whatever the reason is, you can expect results, BetterHelp is going to match you with people who are going to give you the tools to work through whatever it is that you're working through in life. If you're thinking of giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. It's convenient, accessible, affordable, and entirely done online. You'll get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey, and the best part is that you can switch therapists anytime. If you have ever done therapy, you know that more often than not, the first person you match with might not be the best person for you, and that doesn't mean that that person is a bad therapist. It just means that you two aren't jiving. And a really kind of frustrating part about in-person therapy is like jumping around from different therapists, getting new recommendations. BetterHelp makes it really easy to switch. It's not awkward or anything. It's fabulous. So when you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can help get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/toast today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/toast. Okay, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Just my first question for you on the episode was this gorgeous event Kyle held. And I don't feel like at any point they really told what the charity was.
Right. That's so true.
What is Princess Monica charity?
Let's look it up.
She was like, it's going to help our artists and all of our charitable endeavors. Like, it sounded like Anna Delvey.
Yeah, that's sounding like fraudulent philanthropy.
It feels sounding like a documentary we're going to read about in a few years.
It supports emerging performers in theater, dance, and film in the form of awards, grants, scholarships, and fellowships.
Oh, that's nice.
That is nice to help students.
It was a really classy affair between the diamonds and
it was wonderful to see the women at an event that other people were at too. Because
yes.
Usually they would get all dressed up, black tie, diamonds, etc., just to like sit around and talk to each other. But the fact that there was other people, there were things happening. That's what we used to get from Real Housewives. Like, there were events and then the women showed up to them. Now they just manufacture stuff and everyone gets so dressed up to the nines. And it's just like so silly and just like a waste of glam.
But before that party, I thought that Garcelle's, Bubbles, and Birkin's party looked so much fun. Everyone was like actually having a good time.
Yeah.
And I needed a Birkin. Like, I was literally so jealous. That little like setup the guy had. It was what a fabulous way to shop.
Totally. Was there one that caught your eye in particular?
I mean, honestly, the green one that Sutton and Kyle were fighting over, like, was sickening.
And did any of them even buy a bag except for Garcelle?
Sutton bought that taupe clutch, which was kind of ugly. And I don't know if anyone else bought anything.
Yeah, no, but it was a fun afternoon and the women were in good spirits.
It was stunning. I just love Garcelle. And I also love Cherie. Like, we need to know Cherie a little bit more. They've really given her nothing, and she's still like super funny and interesting in the small things that she gets. Like, I would like to know more about Cherie.
Yeah, maybe next season she'll come on because I think a lot of people probably like her.
Yeah.
What I love about Garcelle is I feel like when we're watching this show, it's so easy to see what's right and what's wrong and like what's happening because we have like this zoomed out view. And I'm so, like, I admire so much that in every moment, in every situation, like, Garcelle can see exactly what's happening. And it's as if, like, she has that perch and that perspective, but she doesn't. Because sometimes in the moment, you don't.
It's hard to tell what's right.
What's right. Like, you don't see the other conversations that are happening. You don't know what's going on. So it's hard to be right when you don't have all the information.
Totally.
But she nails it every single time.
No, you're so right. She's so wise and mature, and I just fucking love this woman. And honestly, I don't know what we would do if she wasn't on this show. Because that group that ran this show for the last couple of years, Erica, Rinna, Dorit, Kyle, it's not cutting it for me anymore. And I thought it was really interesting that Kyle chose to confide in Garcelle at that event, because I think she sees Garcelle as the only one who's seeing this clearly. Like, Dorit is so desperate to stay in the middle. She's like not going to take any stand. Erica and Lisa are like coming for Kyle and her sister. And so she sought refuge in the only rational person in this group. And I thought that was so wise of her. And I know a lot of people are like, well, why is it on Lisa and Erica to stop the fight with Kathy? Like, it should be on Kathy to stop the fight with Kathy. And I just don't agree with that. Like, I don't.
No, especially because Lisa especially Lisa is saying, like, I'm bringing this up because I'm defending you and I'm protecting you. And so Kyle is saying, if you want to defend me and want to protect me, what I need you to do is move on. She apologized, like, and you need to accept that and move on. But Lisa can't do that because at the end of the day, she's not trying to protect and defend Kyle. She's trying to embarrass Kathy because she's jealous. Good for everyone.
No,
that she knows.
This thing where Lisa keeps saying that that Kathy needs help because of her behavior. I'm sure Kathy was acting wild. Have you seen this show? I mean, literally the day before, Erica was being insane. Hello, Amsterdam, Lisa Rinna. Everyone has had this psychotic moment.
What about Lisa across the table at Dorit's homeless, not toothless gala? Having a complete
breakdown.
And then taking it all back and being like, I'm sorry, I'm in a really bad place. Like, what about all that? That's literally what Kathy then said.
Yeah,
Kathy had a breakdown and then came to Kyle's house and said, I'm sorry and I'm in a bad place. But Kathy needs help and you don't.
No, Lisa Rinna is so awful. And you know what? It felt like the episode was ending abruptly when Lisa and Erica were leaving. And I was actually glad Sutton brought them back in, because it's like, we're all talking about this and we're talking about you. So just get in here and defend yourselves. Like, 100% do I think Lisa and Erica had something to do with it leaking. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Kyle with the read to filth when she was like, I'm pretty sure, Hilton is a better last name right now than Girardi. That was so good.
Yeah, the only thing that I thought was a good point was that if Erica and Nikki share a publicist, why would Erica's publicist leak this? But I'm sure there's other ways and other people, who knows.
That's a great call that was made by Erica. And I do have to say, I feel like I've been hard on Kyle these last couple of episodes. Like, she did do the right thing last night. Like, she is moving away from the people who are making it hard for her sister. Like, she is being, in this moment, a good sister.
Yeah, but I think there's tension between Kathy and Kyle still.
Did you see the pictures that came out from the reunion? It was each woman on their own. They never got a group shot. It was apparently, like, so horrible.
Now I could see how the reunion goes so south, because I think that for Kyle, Rinna, and Erica, I don't know how they can come back from this quickly. I think eventually it'll all be fine, but I think the wounds are still fresh. And that throws a huge wrench into the group dynamic, which is like the five.
And
women.
The five who have been like so exclusive and not inclusive of like the new girls, Garcelle, Sutton, Crystal. It's awkward, like, as fuck.
Yeah.
I just love these new girls.
What I was going to say was Kris Jenner commented on Kathy's picture from the reunion, a bunch of hearts, which is just so funny because she's beefing with Lisa Rinna because Lisa was like, taking up for 818, and Kris has spoken and taken Kathy's side.
No, it's like Lisa Rinna is so desperate. Her showing up in that Balenciaga outfit that Kim literally wore exactly, like, it's really losery.
But Kathy's the one who's jealous of the Kardashians.
Right. Honestly, I don't even think Lisa Rinna's jealous of the Kardashians. If anything, she's jealous of the Foster Hadids because she tried desperately to do what Yolanda did with her daughters. Yeah. And it didn't work out in the same way. Yeah. Even though Miss Amelia Gray is having like a major fashion moment. She's kind of like an it girl of fashion right now.
Yeah, she is.
And it happened like so randomly. Good for her.
Yeah.
And then Real Housewives of Salt Lake City episode 2. It was horrible, like literally horrible. I hate the show.
I only watched half because my TV was crapping out and I thought
you missed nothing.
A cue to go to sleep.
There was a shaman. Everyone cried.
Oh God.
One person stormed out. And the next week, no one's even going to care about the person they're fighting with now because they'll be fighting with someone else. It was so bad.
That is bad. I didn't get to when they went on the trip. I saw Jen crying with her mom, and it's like,
no, I can't help but think about her mom literally liquidating her entire life savings and teacher's pension, $1 million, to give to her daughter who stole money from the elderly.
For Jen to then plead guilty. So all of that legal work was for what? I don't know, but I did feel, I can't believe, I felt for Jen a little bit in that moment because of her kids. And that's why I'm like frustrated that I'm watching this, because it's like,
you know who I was frustrated with?
Why am I feeling bad for someone who took advantage of such vulnerable people whose lives
because we're only seeing one side of it. Like,
right.
We're not seeing, but you know who I was like really actually getting annoyed with this episode was Miss Heather Gay. Because like, I get that she's like the kind of class clown. She's like always making the joke, yada, yada.
That's a great term.
But like, they had this shaman come, and I think shamans, I'm not even like into that sort of stuff, but everyone was like taking it seriously and like having a moment, and like she just like was making fun of it the whole time, and it's like everyone is getting into it. Like, just get into it and shut up. Like, you always have to be making fun of everything.
Read the room.
Like, stop.
Okay, that's cool that they were into it.
Yeah. But I don't really have many other thoughts on Salt Lake City. It wasn't a particularly good episode.
No, it was not. Then Meredith was talking to Whitney. Like, Meredith is talking so much trash about Lisa that she's doing the exact same thing that Lisa did to her, which is undermining like her position where she got to be so angry. But
can I say one thing? That when they got to this house in Arizona, which was so ugly and disgusting, I was shocked. Someone walked in and was like, is this one of Mary Cosby's rentals? Like, it was like old big couches. Like, it was so weird. I know Meredith is like not acting right, but like, she comes late to the shaman thing, and she's like, I'm sorry I'm late. I was having like such bad anxiety, honestly, about being here with you guys, because the last time we were all on a trip, like my father had just died, and not only that, but like literally his death was weaponized against me, and now we're back here almost a year later. It's almost the anniversary, and I'm honestly just like, I'm shook. Yep. So I can excuse her behavior a little bit, because I actually forgot how fucking evil everyone was to her last year.
Yeah.
Given what she was going through, even beyond that. So you know what? I'm gonna allow it.
Okay. I like that perspective, and it's hard to remember what happened last season because like every episode is different and every alliance is different, and I actually can't keep up, but I appreciate that.
But the episode is not over yet. If you're listening as a podcast, please enjoy our episode, our interview with Jessica Knoll, author, screenwriter, executive producer. She's amazing, and she was so funny. And if you want to watch it on YouTube, just head over to our YouTube channel, and the video is up already. So thank you so much for listening to the Toast the Millennium Show, where we deliver the fast 5 stories that you need to know every Monday through Friday on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. We're also available as podcasts and where podcasts can be found. So that's Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Public Radio, iHeartRadio, CastBox, all the places. Wherever you listen to podcasts, find us Morning Toast, leave a 5-star review about how beautiful, stunning, and smart we are. Hope you guys have an incredible Thursday. This is our final episode of the week, so we will see you back in studio on Tuesday, because Monday is Columbus Day, better known as Indigenous Peoples Day, and there's no toast, so we'll see you there.
Wait, that's this Monday?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. See you Tuesday, guys. Good thing there's so many podcast episodes for you to enjoy that I am on.